simply they are talking about how we can create a viruses, right? And with the help of that virus mechanisms and all those things, how we can exploit those victim machines and then get informations. Maybe the remote access you can get that, the data you can steal, something like that. You can delete the data, or similarly whatever you want to do that you can do with the help of viruses. That what will we create that, right? Let's suppose we have a systems, okay, as an sorry, so as an attacker machines, right? So what I'm going to do that from the attacker machines, right? Attacker are going to create a kind of viruses, we can say that, right? Right, and then with the help of that virus, what we're going to do that we're going to simple inject those virus over your victim machines. So let's suppose these are my victim machines. We can say that this is my victims, okay. And now what I'm going to do that from these victim machines, we are just performing, or we are simple upload those virus to these machines and then perform some certain actions, right? So now here what we have, that the very first tools or the very first method we have, okay, the NGRAT, right? So what exactly the malware threat when talking about those in this particular scenarios on sections, right? So simple here we're going to talk about those how we can create trojans, right? Different trojans, and with the help of different tools and command too as well, and then how we can exploit those things. And after that we will discuss about how we can create a virus and then infect to your Windows machines, right? And then how we can, so after that when we're talking about as an ethical hacker, how we can analysis that if something goes wrong in our machine, then how we can analysis the viruses impacted on our systems, right? So the same moment I mentioned, right? So the first thing what we are going to do that we are going to simple create a trojans, right? With the help of which tool? The NGRAT. So what is the means of rat here? So rat means we can say it's like a remote access trojans, right? So what we can say, when we create a trojan with the help of NGRAT, that allow to take remote login of your victim machines, right? So again with the help of NGRAT, it's a tool, actually it's a Windows based tool, right? When we launch this application, it will create a virus for you, and then what we'll do that with the help of those things we can simple share those rat file to the victim machines, and then when the victim machine run those file, it will give you a remote. As we notice, we have like payload for the same, if you remember that meta share reverse, in the same thing we get this particular NGRAT, and then we can perform all those tasks, right? So it's like a simple straightforward. What I'm going to do that again, I'm going to simple launch my NGRAT applications, even though you can also download and perform those things, right? So how we can do the same? So let me log into my system, and in my system by default we have NGRAT application installed. So what I'm going to do that I'm going to simple run these applications and perform my systems, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do that again, let me launch my NGRAT, okay. So that is my NGRAT tools, right? So we have like viruses, virus maker, so that is my NGRAT virus maker, okay. So let me run this tool. So if you notice how we just run this tool, the NGRAT exe file, correct? Here is launched there. Now so what option we have the same thing, right? When you notice now, so we don't need to do anything, right? The port, okay, so you change that port actually because most of the antiviruses or most of the analysis tool, then as I'm talking about as a hacker, right? So most of the analysis tool know that your viruses starting using port number from 5000, right? So if you think that wanted to change some custom port and all those things, what you can do that you can change the port number 2 as well, right? And then what you can do that the simple choose and then click on the start sections, right? So what we are doing here, we are simple start these applications, right? Now the next we need to create a virus. So for that, here on the left side sections on the bottom of the file, bottom of this console, we have option for the builder, right? So simple click on this builder option, it will give you some option. Now what you need to do that, right? The first thing we need to mention my hosts, right? Host means we can say the L host. It's about the L host that we are going to mention to perform those things, right? If you remember that we have a L host and L port. So what I'm going to mention then, if anyone going to use this particular virus file, then we have L host. I mean, all the authentications comes to this particular host. So we can say the L host. Okay, the victim name, that could be anything. We can say hacked or something like that. Okay, and then the file that are going to store with the name of server.exe, the virus file name, right? And it will run in which directory? The tmp directory. Just a second, Vijay. Sorry, clear? So this is a file server.exe. Okay, and then and it will use the tmp directory, right? One more thing, Vijay, here we can mention that when we run the runtime viruses file, that by default use the temporary directory, right? So you want to change the directory path and all this, you can change that. That's a point actually, right? So what means of this one? So when we run this file, right, it use that victim machine's temporary folder and with the name of server.exe, right? The exe name you can do that, right? What you can do that, if you wanted to manage in that way or maintain in that way, so we have options for the same here, right? What we can do that, we have options for the same, right? So you can mention that startup registry path. It means what? It means when we're talking about the registry path and all those things, we can mention how we can mention that. We can mention in that way. Let's suppose like whenever we start those machines, right, it automatically start and add it in the registry or startup file. Registry startup file. And also what you can do that, copy to startup. It means what? When your machine is going to boot that, it automatically add the changes inside of particular path or file. Clear with that? So that we can say copy to startup file and add in the registries. Clear? Now click on this particular build build icon. So when you click on the build, here we are going to save this file. So let's suppose I'm going to save this file in my share folder somewhere in the with the name server.exe. Clear with that? Now save this file. Do not close these applications. Okay, so do not close these applications. Okay, so if you notice now, right, what I'm going to do that, I'm going to simple run that application that what we create earlier. Okay, and see here we shared in this my drive, even though self. Okay, so here we have a file, but before that, if I just show you in my machines, okay, I don't have any connections yet. So what I'm going to do that, I'm going to simple run this file. Okay, so this is my Windows 22 machines. I'm going to simple click, right, and I'm simple running this file. So if you notice now, and if you notice now here in the sometimes here we got a connections. So what message we are getting that? The hack, something like that. We are message getting that the hacked, and then the name, IP address of those machines, the name, the user, the install date, the countries, everything will show that. Now what you can do that, you can simple right click and then you can check whatever like you can want to manage those machines. So click on the manager section, you will check all those, right? You can check those file for data, right? You want to check what data they have, that you can check in that C drive and all, Z drive and everything, you can check that, right? You can check the process manager, like what process that running over those machines, you can check the process as well, right? So these are like process that running over those machines, right? Even though what you can do that, you can simply check those process and you can also kill that process if you think that's something like a harmful process and all, right? The connection details, you can check that, what IP they are using, that the connection detail and all those things. The registry, you can check that, right? Even though you can also check a CMD of that machines, even though. The next what we have that you can run some kind of command, you can perform a disk operation, you can add a script for the same. Even though you can also check a desktop of the same, you can say the VNC or RDP like that, right? You can also check the desktop of the machine, right? Whatever the victim are performing those things, you will check in that way. This is also processing, correct? Right? So these are a process with the help of NJRED. We can perform this certain action. You can perform the get password authentication. You can keylog. You can authenticate the server. You can open the file folder, even those, right? So you can also open the folder of those machines, if you notice now, right? We shared with the same thing, right? So this is your Windows Server machines. What you can do that, you can simple perform everything, right? Even though whatever you're performing that thing, right? Even though the victim machine cannot check.